What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we go over the patch notes with Eggs, Shade, and Raven. I don't want to wait any longer. I want you guys to know exactly what's been changed in Marvel Snap. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. I'm going into this fresh. My three friends, we got Raven, Eggs, and Shade on the call. They have seen these notes already, so I'm going into this blind, and I'm a little bit scared from hearing their reactions already. So I guess we're gonna jump into this. Patch highlights. More tokens. That's a good thing to start us off. Players who have not finished Series 3 will now earn 4 times more tokens than before. I guess that's a nice to have. Shop update. Cards can now be acquired from the shop in 2 different sections. Choose your card. Series 3 cards have been separated into their own shop section. Instead of purchasing one Series 3 card a month with tokens, players can now choose one Series 3 card to unlock each month for free. So save those tokens for Series 4 and Series 5 cards. That doesn't really affect us, right? I'm pretty sure we're all Series 3 complete. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't affect me.
Just
I don't know.
about, yeah.
I don't know about Raven. You know, he's got all those ultimate variants.
And then the token shop now contains only Series 4, Series 5, and Ultimate variants. Okay, that's interesting. So they don't have the new, they haven't separated the Ultimate variants from the Series 4 and 5 cards yet, I don't think. But hopefully when the new card drops, that's going to be available to all of us, because that's an issue that I've been facing a lot, where I own all the cards and a new card is released and I still can't get it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
the new card's yet to drop, right?
Yes,
Doesn't
correct.
drop it.
So that
Yeah,
could
she's
be in
dropping
a couple of hours or so.
2 hours.
Yeah,
you
2
know?
hours, 2 hours.
Or
Okay,
3
yeah, yeah,
because of the stupid time change thing.
Yeah.
Right.
General updates. Seasonal series drops. Some cards have dropped down to a lower series. So from 5 to 4, we've got Zabu, Sauron, Shanna, Dazzler, Shadow King. All, I mean, listen, the more series drops, the better. And then from 4 to 3, we've got M'Baku, Orca, and Atuma. When you tap on a card for more details during a match, the big card detail screen now features artist credits and card mods. So now you'll know exactly what something is missing here for me. Okay. So audio, blah, blah, blah. We've got new sounds for Thanos, Nimrod, Master Mold, Negasonic.
Blah, blah,
New location sounds, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, I want to point out Master Mold is getting a sound effect. That is awesome,
Well,
because I remember
yeah.
specifically bringing up like multiple times when we were doing the Master Mold video, like how sad I was that he didn't have a cool sound whenever he was played. So I'm actually really pumped about that.
It's the thing that keeps surprising me, I think, since maybe Miles came out. But like releasing new cards that aren't finished was really odd. Like new cards that don't have voice lines or sound effects or anything. It's like same with Nimrod. It's like I'm glad he's getting one, because it's like, well, it's Nimrod. Why, it's a new card. Why shouldn't it have one? It's kind of strange.
Right.
They also missed one here.
Oh, okay.
So She-Hulk now has like a funky animation every time its cost changes. You know, it gets reduced at the end of every turn, and it's like a little, and then the number changes. So it's good, because I'm a fan of when something changes or information you need to know, you should be drawn to it, right? It shouldn't be like, oh yeah, She-Hulk changed this turn, or oh, this happened. It's like I'm still waiting for the opponent's Nightcrawler to float if it's not moved. So maybe one day we'll get that.
Yeah, that's necessary too.
100%. Yeah.
I like that they did it with Zabu when Zabu got his animation for whenever you draw a card that is like
4-cost.
affected, it swipes.
For sure. Has anyone seen this? The Almighty Thanos now has a VFX along with all the Infinity Stones. Has anyone actually seen the
I've
animation?
not seen them, but I've been told they're very cool.
Okay, nice.
Very
No, but based on the rest of the patch notes, I'm sure we will continue to see them.
Okay, little spoiler there. All right, balance updates. The unscheduled changes to Zabu and Silver Surfer made the metagame shifts for the last month more difficult for us to predict, and we weren't able to make timely adjustments for technical reasons. In that time, Thanos became one of our most dominant decks, yet his weak matchups versus Zabu and Surfer had really been holding the Mad Titan back. Shuri-based decks were another big winner here, and both of these archetypes have exceeded our tolerance for game balance. This patch's adjustments are aimed at restoring order and weakening each of them. Okay, interesting. We're continuing to explore updates and improvements to both our balance technology and our philosophy around scheduling changes, and we look forward to sharing that with you soon. Okay, here's the big one. This is what I'm excited for. Moving into card updates. Raven.
Wait. I want to say something about what that paragraph there is.
Yeah.
I want to know what their thought process is on thinking that Thanos had weak matchups versus Zabu and Surfer prior to Zabu and Surfer like being nerfed, because I don't actually think that was true. I think the current like state of Thanos and like what the current like meta deck is for him with all these like big cards and everything like that, I don't really think that that's a weak matchup versus Surfer, like old Surfer and Zabu. Is that wrong?
But did we
Do you guys
see
feel differently?
did we see a lot of that before when
But I
Surfer and
don't
Zabu
think that was
there?
because it was weak
I-
matchups. I think it was because people just hadn't truly figured him out yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem, right? Like they can only work with information they've got. So if Thanos is getting dumpstered like by old Zabu Darkhawk, then that's true. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's like obviously matching different times of decks against each other is difficult. So I guess they were
Like
just
Surfer.
at the
Sorry, go ahead.
time, Surfer and Zabu were really strong, and not many people played Thanos to a successful rate. So
Yeah.
at that point, what they're saying is true. It's just we obviously quickly moved on to Giga Chad Thanos decks, right? So it was like maybe it was just a slight skewing in time.
I mean,
Yeah,
people were already starting to run Leech versus Surfer as like a way to shut it down. And that just makes me think that like there's no way that would have been a bad matchup. Like
I think one of the
if this had
problems
been
as
then.
well is that they're looking at like mass data, not good players playing versus each other, right? Because that's a big difference as well. Like obviously we know more generally speaking about certain matchups, the intricacies of it, or different players that can, I built this cool deck that beats this and that beats that, but they'll be looking at like thousands upon thousands of ladder games for the average, like for just players,
Mhm.
right? And not okay, let's find the 10 best players in the world and get them to balance the game for us. You know what I mean? Because even that probably wouldn't go very well either. So I kind of understand it. It's tricky.
What are you trying to say, Eggs?
Shade. Don't call me out like that.
I got you. I interrupted you. It's my bad.
So I played Thanos pretty early on, and I was playing a Lockjaw Thanos deck. I think that there were pieces that were missing that weren't resolved until, the main Thanos buff.
Mhm.
I think that changed things a lot as well because Thanos himself became playable. But it just didn't feel as strong as playing Surfer or Zabu at the time. And I think that a lot of people were trying to pair Zabu and Surfer into Thanos decks where they weren't necessary, and that's why they weren't as strong at the time. So
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So I think here we go. I'm terrified right now. Just see at the top of the list for card updates. Thanos moving from a 6'11 to a 6'10. So straight off the
Yeah,
bat.
that's the whole nerf. Yeah, done. Yeah, let's move on.
That's
We
I can
love a
see.
+1 -1.
My God. All right, let's see what they say. So, we increased Thanos' power in a previous patch that was built during a time when Zabu Surfer were suppressing the success of Thanos-based decks. We're happy to keep him at 9+ power for Shang-Chi's sake, but given his recent success, we thought it appropriate to pull back on that buff just a touch. This change won't dramatically impact the success of Thanos decks, as most of the strength is in the stone interactions, and why change him at all? But okay.
Or just put him at 9. If you want to keep him at 9, within 9 power for Shang, put him at 9.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay, Space Stone. On reveal, next turn you can move one card at this location, draw a card. To on reveal, next turn you can move one card. Next turn you can move one card.
It's a cloak.
To
Space
this
Stone is a
location,
cloak
to
instead
this
of a
location.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a cloak.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't really change anything because you can still just play him outside of the lockjaw. You can play Space Stone outside
Yes.
of the lockjaw lane,
Instead of
and then
putting
the
him,
card
yeah.
into the lockjaw
Well,
lane,
it's-
and then move it. Like
It's one less lockjaw shuffle though, so it does change something, right? Because Space Stone would be played with lockjaw, pump out something big, then you move lockjaw. Whereas now you waste, I'll say in like air quotes, you
A
can't
shuffle,
see,
yeah.
waste a lockjaw rotation, right? Kind of because you have to play the stone just on the board somewhere else. So it's something. I think I prefer
agree.
it because I prefer that than being able to just get the Space Stone's benefit without having to deal with having a 1/1 on the board.
Yeah.
A chunk of the time.
I agree that that's definitely what the change to Space Stone should have been, but I don't agree that it's the only stone that needed a change.
Yes, I
I
agree
would
with that.
agree with that as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
And I would argue that there's actually far more problematic stones. Cough, cough, time stone.
I think, well, when we get to some of the next nerfs, I think their goal was to nudge Thanos because if they push Thanos out by accident, then it would just look really bad for all the people in the last 2 weeks or so, or however many weeks that have like, right, okay, Thanos is the best, we'll buy him, bought him. Oh, right, they nerfed him to hell. Like I think like
I still feel
agree.
like I would
think
have
some of the
preferred a time stone change to a Space Stone change.
Oh, really? Oh,
Really?
I don't
You
care
would've-
about Time Stone.
Oh, I
Like,
think I would have preferred a Space
No,
Stone change. Yeah, yeah.
I thought
Time
Space
Stone is a
and Soul
1-power
Stone.
Psylocke that draws you a card.
I mean, yeah.
And that's like part of the main reason why Leech is able to get it before 5. Space Stone doesn't affect that at all.
I mean, you can still get Leech out before 5 with a Psylocke in general, but I think that the reason why the Space Stone change is so important, it takes away any ability to go into Sanctum Sanctorum, or even lanes like
Oh, that's
That's
true.
domain.
That's
That's domain,
very
stuff like that,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Does
even
it really
consider that.
change that much though? Because most of these
Yeah,
Thanos decks right now are
absolutely.
running Vision anyways.
No, I
Really?
don't
I
think
never
so.
run Vision.
No.
I think like it's for me, if we got told you can only change one stone, I think the Space Stone is the right one to change. Just because it actually does reduce down the lockjaw shuffles. Because my worry is if they didn't change Space Stone as a priority, then like they'd nerf lockjaw. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I agree with
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
rather
okay
see a
with
change
this.
to Space Stone than Lockjaw be absolutely killed. You know?
Well, I would rather a change to both, but
Oh, sure.
yeah, I guess
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also okay with like again, I was talking about this earlier. People were asking me a lot today, like, why is it taking so long? And they actually replied saying the technology we had to like quick fix,
Mhm.
quick do changes broke,
Oh.
so we couldn't
Mm.
fix it faster. This is as fast as we could do it. And they said like, we should be getting sorted out. We should be amending it soon, whatever. But like, I would rather them nudge Thanos a bit, because even though everyone hates Thanos right now, I don't think it should be made unplayable or like like a C tier deck, right? It is
Right.
Thanos. It should be cool. So I'm okay doing this, because who knows, in a couple of weeks they could go, actually, yeah, we will nudge Time Stone, Soul Stone, whatever stone, to
I actually don't
to,
hate
to do it
Thanos.
again.
I actually don't hate Thanos.
Most
like,
people
the,
do
the
at this
Thanos
point.
and the stones. I don't actually hate. I hate what he enables.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think
But I don't
sure.
actually
But
hate
that's what I'm saying.
Thanos.
Like, they could just say, "Oh, well, if Thanos is still dominating in 2 weeks' time, then they can just nudge another stone,
Mhm.
right?" Like for me, I keep thinking that they could just remove the card draw from Soul Stone, because it's
Mhm.
like an active, ongoing effect. Does it also need the card draw as well? So,
Mhm.
but
I
anyway,
mean,
Even
that's
the
my
stuff they
biggest-
could
card
do.
draw is super powerful, and I feel like that's being overlooked by them in general. I don't think that anybody's really targeting the card draw that's happening. So
Mhm.
that's definitely something that's sort of missing from this, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely.
I
Moving on.
think if you're gonna have card effects like this, where it's like, this is a cloak, this is a Psylocke, this is a Scarlet Witch,
Mhm.
like, you have to also take into account that those cards are doing that effect and then also drawing a card
Yeah.
at the same time,
yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
bonkers.
That's why I kind of like, one of my thoughts was, like if you made Time Stone a 2/1, it's still a Psylocke, but you draw. But then at the same time, it's like, if all the stones are one, do you have to keep it consistent? Is it harder to? Because they also have to kind of think like, yeah, most people, the majority of people are not playing Thanos decks to pull off the Thanos combo. It's to just like play the stones for the stones effects. You know what I mean? But if you make some stones too, then it's going to be harder to pull that off and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you could actually have 3 great locations that are like no problems with them whatsoever, but then you still are gonna want to play Reality Stone anyways because it's gonna draw you a card,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is
Well,
just like
yes.
why.
Somebody in my chat just wrote, it adds 6 cards to your deck, so card draw is 100% necessary, which I disagree with, because you're enabling card draw simply from Lockjaw in general. So
Mhm.
unless you're planning on taking Lockjaw out of your deck,
And it was
don't know.
my point was like, I agree they probably need some level of draw. I'm not saying that, but they could just remove one of the stones having card draw, right? If they remove like Soul
Mhm.
Stone doesn't have it and Power Stone doesn't have it, that's still only one less card draw if you draw that stone. All the others can still draw, and one of the stones
Mhm.
draws 2, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's just like, I feel like that's a good way to nudge the power, is just say, okay, well, one extra stone doesn't draw a card, so that will impact the deck, but it doesn't just, oh, it's unplayable now the Soul Stone doesn't draw a card. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Right.
not gonna happen. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on to Quinjet. Quinjet has now changed to now reduces costs to a minimum of 1. This is something I talked to Raven about for so long that like I really don't think this impacts anything. There's so many people in my chat yesterday saying like, oh, this messes up my bounce dino, add cards to my hand deck. I can't play a free demon. And like, and people were telling me that I don't know because I don't play those types of decks enough how impactful this is. I honestly think this is fine.
I do think this impacts bounce.
Well, okay, wait. So how? Well, so it impacts Demon, Maria Hill. What else?
I mean, anything that you're trying to pull back to your hand with a cost reduction.
But that starts in your hand
for not
Getting that
originally
from
being
Beast.
there.
That's
Yeah, but just Beast. It doesn't. What about Falcon? What about like?
But
You
they
know,
don't.
They don't
They
trigger.
don't count for Quinjet.
No, they don't.
Though, right?
No.
Because the Quinjets, it's got to be not in your deck.
Yep.
Right. So like it counts for stuff like if you generate a 1-drop,
Yep.
like Demon. If you generate.
Wait, Falcon doesn't proc Quinjet?
Nope.
No, because
Oh, no, it procs Collector.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quinjet.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Quinjet
My bad.
is
No.
any
bad.
cards not in your original deck.
So it just affects Moon Girl Dino at that point.
That's it. And even if you're like with
She-Hulk, which is fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
I love that.
yeah, and like with Moon Girl, most of the time, you know, having that cost reduction of, you know, reducing by 1 is fine. You're not really gonna have them like as zero cost cards. And I think in general, if you have cards in the game that, you know, you're able to have zero energy cards, I don't think that's good for the game overall. And he's like, you know, it's always difficult to kind of manage energy reduction or energy cheat in a game like this. And overall, I think having stuff not cost 0 is probably fine. I still think Beast is a cool thing because like Beast isn't like crazy OP. You know, you can like stack some 1s and 2s and draw them back. But I think because Quinjet is an ongoing card, so like basically like it's a 1-drop for the rest of the game, things can possibly cost 0 is kind of crazy, you know.
So do we think that because of this change that now that the Quinjet isn't going to get run in Thanos and we're going to see something like Nightcrawler instead so that people can try to cheat out other pulls from Electra?
I'm just excited to see anything else being run in Thanos besides Quinjet because it opens up another card to be run in Thanos, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just plays
I love
Valkyrie.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I love
solved.
that. I
Play
think that's
Valkyrie.
great. Just play Valkyrie. Simply play Valkyrie. What I said, because a lot of people are sort of losing their mind over this, like, oh, it should cost 0. But we have to think about the long term of what this affects for new cards that are coming out. And I think that overall, this is a great balance across the board and not just for Thanos. So
I'm interested to see if this impacts what people were potentially thinking about or planning in terms of Hitmonkey coming out in April. I don't know if it really will change too much because I think like what we kind of talked about with Bounce is like pretty much just Demon. But I think it could potentially have some long-term effects that we aren't really sure of right now. Like I said.
I think, like for me, because I played a lot of sort of the generated card with Quinjet, you know, like Dino basically decks, and like it happens so rarely that it would push something to one. The main one being She-Hulk, of course, that like for want of not having not only future problems but the Thanos problem. Yeah, I'm okay with this. And if people, the amount of people I've seen, like, oh, it completely ruins Maria Hill. I'm like, is that what's ruined Maria Hill? Like, is that really?
I mean, it doesn't help her.
It doesn't help, but I think like the card, it doesn't help itself. Honestly.
My poor little cheeseburger lady needs more help. She doesn't need less help.
I feel like Maria Hill should have just made.
General.
I think like Maria Hill should have made like its own card similar to Demon, which is like a 1-drop, shield agent or something.
That'd be cool.
And it can just
cool.
it just does something as opposed to completely random card that may be good, may be trash. Because the card isn't powerful enough to do that. But anyway, let's not talk about Maria Hill. Let's move on to next. Let's move on. Let's move on, Kawa, to the spiciest air quotes nerf. But is it?
I don't think it's a nerf, but
Is this the Red Skull one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Red Skull, he was a 5/15 ongoing enemy cards at this location have +2 power. He's now a 5/13 ongoing enemy cards at this location have +1 power. And the comment here is this change is singularly aimed at reducing the strength of combining Red Skull with Shuri and Taskmaster. Outside of those interactions, this change is mostly a buff to the base case usage for Red Skull, giving you 9 or 10 power at crowded locations rather than 7 or 9. Raven, what are your thoughts on this?
So I will preempt some of this just so you're aware, Kawa. Later on, there's something else that impacts Shuri Red Skull, right?
Okay.
And it's big, but we'll get to it. So just so you're aware, it's not like this is the only Shuri Red Skull effect on the meta. Just so you know, I cannot believe this. I've just been playing Shuri Red Skull. guess what? Red Skull's pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's a good card, and I'm
It should
just
have been
sat
a
here-
511, not a 513.
Yeah,
Well,
513 2 power reduction doesn't make any sense to me.
My guess was 513 plus 2 power. And
Yeah.
it does what it does. Like, it's a good 1v1 card. It's a card that makes your opponent have to play multiple cards into it to like catch up. And it's still decent from Shuri, right? It's still going to be 26 like it is now anyway. But I've just been jamming this since the patch came out. And I'm sat here thinking, does just 0 Red Skull or just Red Skull make it into many decks? Because if you read the change, it's like, sorry, hang on a minute. There we go. Yeah, usage for Red Skull. Giving you 9 or 10 power at a crowded location. Hang on a minute. We're just allowed 5 10s now?
Yeah.
Like, right. Cool.
After She-Hulk nerf.
Yeah. Give me. Yeah, She-Hulk's been nerfed, and it's like, look at poor Spider Woman.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a
Make her,
5.
make
I was
her a
hoping,
5/9 now.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a 511 with +1. That's what I was hoping. It was 511 with +1.
Yeah, that's what I
thought
wanted.
513 plus 2 or 511 plus 1.
Yep.
But the two good parts of both I did not see
Yeah.
coming. Like, it was just like, it's just a good now.
It's just better
put it in
card
any
It's
deck.
a good card. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
just put
good
it in
card
any
now.
deck. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
this I don't know.
This card, I don't really understand the comment on it, honestly. Like, reducing the strength of playing it as Shuri with Taskmaster, I don't understand that in general, because that's not reducing the strength at all. It's still a 26 power card.
If you think about it, it ends up being the same if people do the numbers of like, well, it's 30 minus 8
Yeah.
or 26 minus 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's still 22.
It's the same
There's
thing.
literally no change.
So like,
honestly.
Yeah.
obviously then you can argue that, well, okay, the Taskmaster's smaller, which, yep, absolutely right, no problem at all. But I did not expect this. When I saw 513, because I went through in-game, just to quickly scroll through to see, I was like, oh my god, they did my change, I'm such a god.
And then you
And
clicked
I read
into the
+1,
card.
I was like, what? I could not, but like I said, I've just been playing Red Skull.
Yeah. It seems
But
like
also,
he's
like, who is even playing? Like, it says outside of those interactions, this changes mostly a buff to the base usage for Red Skull. But like, who is like
Freddy.
even playing Red Skull without She-Hulk and Taskmaster?
Freddy babes.
Me?
I played a little bit.
Play it with 0.
No, but that's what I mean, right? Like, who is playing? Like, no one's playing Red Skull outside of those interactions typically, where like, you
just
even
Red
if you
Skull.
have.
Yeah.
But like, even if you have 0 Red Skull, like, how often are you playing the 0 and the Red Skull, as opposed to just being like, oh, I didn't draw 0, or like, oh, I zeroed my lizard, or like, you're still gonna play the Red Skull, right?
Yeah, I still play the Red Skull.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about this today because I'm playing Johnson's deck. I was playing Johnson's deck earlier.
Thanos.
Where,
Mhm.
the Thanos one,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's sort of I was playing Johnson's deck and I was playing Dexter. Dexter has like a similarly control type deck that has Destroyer in it. And if you think about the fact that Destroyer is a 6/15, which could either destroy your whole board or could just be a 6/15 with no no ability, like playing Hulk, Red Skull is literally the same power with like the minor downside of a possible +2 for each card, which if you can math it out and make it work right, it just makes more sense to just play Red Skull and possibly like, I don't know, Sunspot or something like that and get that additional power. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's super nutty. I'm still just sat here. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Like that plus like say Titania or even just
exactly. Yeah.
Just 0 is like it's insane. It's so much power.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. I guess
So-
that's just the world we're living in.
Yeah. Next we have.
Yeah, I feel like that's my reaction to all of these patch notes. It just has to be like, yeah, okay, whatever, or like, I'm just gonna lose my mind.
All right, so we got She-Hulk next, from a 6'10 down to a 6'9. I don't mind this
Nice.
personally. I mean, I was talking about this in chat a little bit yesterday. If they made her a 6'8, I think she'd be kind of busted because then she's not shangable. So down to a 6-9 is fine. They say She-Hulk is a key component in the strongest Shuri decks, but it sees widespread play in various decks thanks to its strength alongside Sunspot, Wave, and Moon Girl. We mostly think that's cool, but that she's more powerful than she needs to be for those combos.
Cool.
Sorry.
In addition, we want to encourage playing actively to locations rather than holding cards for explosive turn 6. We're continuing to weaken a few of the best cards for the latter. Okay. So
For the what?
what?
They say for the ladder?
For the ladder. Latter, not ladder.
It's his accent. It's
Latter.
his accent.
Yeah, my
okay,
accent.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm fine with this. I guess it's like whatever. But
I love the fact that they're just like, we think this is cool.
this is cool.
What the hell?
That's cool.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
big deal.
Hang
That's
on a
cool.
minute. Is the She-Hulk card not cool?
I mean, it is
I
cool.
mean-
Yeah. If-
See, tell them they're wrong. That's my
It
question.
just caught me off
It is
guard.
cool.
Like, it just caught me off guard. They're like, we think that's cool. Like, what?
I spoke about this card because those like leaked nerfs or whatever we were talking about She-Hulk. I said, oh, it could go down to 9.
Mhm.
For me, I feel like She-Hulk as a 6/10 was right at the top of strong cards that don't necessarily need nerfs. It's just a strong card, but 6/9, it's not the end of the world, is it? Like I've been playing it in my new Red Skull deck, and it's still pretty good,
Mhm.
so it should be okay. Not the end of the world.
Yeah. All right. So here's the big one. Before
Wait, I did have a question about She-Hulk real
Yeah.
quick in terms of like the interaction with Quinjet.
Mhm.
So, what's the like proper math on this? Like, if it's turn 5 and you play one card, and you already have a Moon Girl She-Hulk in your hand, so She-Hulk would normally cost 5,
Mhm.
but the Moon Girl is gonna make her cost 4. But then you skip so that she would cost 0. Is that Moon Girl She-Hulk still gonna cost 0, or is she gonna cost 1?
No, she'll cost 1 because it's. Wait, hang on. So you're saying
So let's say I play Moon Girl and I have She-Hulk in my hand, right? So I have 2
Mhm.
She-Hulks now. One of them, I have Quinjet on the board. One of them is
Mhm.
reduced by the Quinjet effect, but it
Mhm.
can't be reduced below 1.
Mhm.
It's 5. On turn 5, so that she costs 0, is she going to cost 0 or is she going to cost 1? Because
as far as I'm
Quinjet says she can't cost less than 1, right?
As far as I'm concerned, if to make it easier, say you add a second a generated She-Hulk, right, on turn 6. So it's 6 cost. Let's just say there's no Quinjet. If you passed, obviously she costs 0, right? Because there's no Quinjet, doesn't matter. But if you add Quinjet down and it's turn 6 and you pass, she should cost 0 because the Quinjet is not making her go down to 0.
Yeah, I actually.
But if the Quinjet's 1 energy is involved in the She-Hulk's energy counting to 0, then it will go 1. Is my assumption.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was
haven't
thinking.
tested it, but basically, if you can, what I would assume is if you can take Quinjet off the board and She-Hulk still costs 0 based on She-Hulk's ability, she will cost 0 whether Quinjet's there or not. If Quinjet's on the board and you need that to hit 0, she will cost 1.
Yeah, I can confirm that because
thing
I
as
think
Sarah.
it's the same. I was going to say it's the same thing as Sarah. Sarah works
Yeah.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the big one. Let me just say before I even started this, Luke just messaged me saying I'm crying, so I'm assuming something's after happened to
Nothing wrong with this. I love
to
it.
Aero. Okay, so Aero, she was a 5/7 on reveal. Move all enemy cards played this turn to this location, and now she's a 5/8 on reveal. Move the last enemy card played this turn to the last enemy card played this turn to this location. Okay, that's interesting. I know a lot of us said possibly the first card, but the last one is quite interesting. I'm gonna just read through what they said. Aero is a tricky card for us. The actual game balance for Aero has been healthy, and she fulfills a vital role in our game by providing interaction, especially against dangerously polarizing cards like Galactus. That's fair. It's important for Aero to be versatile and strong in order to be a widely playable tech card, but we don't want her pushing the majority of other 5-cost cards out of decks. Fortunately, that's the behavior we're seeing. Aero can also be frustrating to see, denying players the option to play their own endgames. This change seeks to keep Aero strong where she's needed, foster more competition amongst 5-cost cards, and add counterplay to make her more fun to play against. I think this is okay. Like I said, interesting that it's the last and not the first. Do you think that's better than the first? To pull the last one?
I don't really care either way. I'm just happy that to have that same feeling again from like back when we had Leader when you had to like actually think about the order in which you played your cards and
okay.
that they truly actually mattered. I think that was, I hated leader, but that was such a fun, like strategic thought process to have to go through, to be like, okay, well, if I play like this card here and this card here, then they only get this one.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's going to make, I mean, I already have a lot of fun playing Galactus. I think that Galactus was extremely easily counterable and still is extremely easily counterable. Like, Aero was not the only problem with Galactus. We have Debris, like Cosmo. There's other issues outside of that make that card hard to play, which always pisses me off whenever people are like, "Oh, Galactus needs a nerf. Galactus over." No, the card's already hard enough to play.
I'm saying it. Galactus is dumb.
But I do think that this will give me that same strategic feeling again of like what we had when we had leader, where you had to really think about like the order in which you're playing your cards and not just where you're playing them. And I actually really like that.
And the last is very impactful, actually. So just to give some examples, if you were going to 0 Red Skull on turn 6, well, the Red Skull gets pulled if you do that, right?
Yeah.
If you were going to Taskmaster and something
Titania
else,
or something,
let's say, then you've got to remember the Titania moves. If you want to, for example, Venom, Zola, Carnage, all of these things, you really have to think about which one moves and which one doesn't, because if you mess up and your Carnage gets pulled when you didn't want it to and it eats the wrong lane, well, you've lost, right? There are actually, when you sit and think about it, a lot of effects that really do depend on ordering. So yeah, that one is going to be interesting. Even similar to, again, I'm talking about like weird turn 6 effects, but even when you look at the order of how and when you play like a style like an Angela turn, for example, right? It's like, well, hang on a minute. If I'm going to get Aeroed, what does that look like? And this is going to the story counter of, I just played a game where I had Aero into the Galactus turn and they played a Wasp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was just thinking that the yellow jacket tech in there in the Galactus deck now actually makes sense. You just hold it for the Aero turn.
Love that.
Yeah, once again plugging Galactus Valkyrie.
Yeah.
So good. I love it so much. I can't wait to play Galactus again right now. I've been completely avoiding it because it's so counterable.
I am very excited to see what this does to the Galactus win rate, because the current highest win rate, as far as I've seen across like multiple trackers and stuff, was 51.3%. But the cube rate for Galactus is so low because it's very much a 2 cube deck, right? Like, you can see it coming most of the time, and like 9 times out of 10 it's very hard to be surprised by Galactus. Like, you know, they're either going to play like Death and Chavez or Death and Destroyer or Knull, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming, right? But I think that
it's actually kind of funny. Someone in my chats just said, you just Aero the Galactus lane to pull the Wasp.
Oh, that's interesting, to pull it first. Oh my god, that's actually crazy.
If you go first, you just pull the thing they're gonna bait you with into the lane with Galactus.
Oh
so
my
there's my only worry with this, because I think overall the Aero change is okay. It's definitely weird to get used to, but my only worry is if this makes like Galactus that much better, the community in general will get tired of losing to Galactus very quickly. And then that's going to cause an uproar because it's Galactus. So we'll see what happens.
I'm curious to see if many people are going to actually be like, you know, putting, as well as Yellow Jacket, like actually putting Wasp in their in their Galactus deck. It's gonna be funny to see.
I mean, I'm literally just gonna play Valkyrie Galactus. Like, that's just happening now. So
yeah.
Wasp is already gonna be in there.
Somebody in my chat just asked, is the card dead? I think that the card is still very much alive.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are not going to think about this change while playing. This is definitely something you have to get used to overall. Like, there's still times where I see a card come down because Titan is reducing a 6 cost to a 5, and I'm like, what the fuck? How can they play that? Like, there's still times where we're adjusting to things, even if we've been playing the card for 6 months, you know. So I do think that this allows a lot more strategy, and I don't even think this kills. I think that this does help with the Shuri deck quite a bit. If you do want a She-Hulk Taskmaster. So I don't know. I don't think the card is dead. I don't know why
It's
people are so
actually
upset.
from my many games of about 30 minutes playing it. It's weirdly also a nerf for the Shuri deck.
For
Because-
including Aero in the deck.
Yeah, because you play Aero in the Shuri deck, right?
Mhm.
Which most people do.
Mhm.
I would assume. Suddenly, say you play your Taskmaster or whatever, right? Even though it's just seemingly better now. Well, you can't just pull stuff. Say you win in one lane with like a lizard, whatever. Then you Taskmaster a different lane. You can't then just turn 6 go. Oh well, I'll just Aero you over here into this third lane I don't care about, right? So because it's only one card.
It's only
gets
one
pulled.
card,
So
yeah.
depending, I've had both things now where I've Aeroed my opponent's turn 6. It was one card and I won
Mhm.
because that's just what Aero does, right? But then I've also had it where they played like 4 cards
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
Aeroed and it's like, okay.
Yeah, she's no longer an
Yeah.
automatic I win button.
so
it's
Yeah.
very
again,
dependent on
like,
what your opponent
it's-
is playing.
It's
I
gonna
love
be
that.
really interesting, but I mean, I'm okay with it. This was like close to something I expected
Mhm.
like they could do as well, which is just make it one card. Obviously, I said first, but
Mhm.
first, last. It has implications, but it's kind of the same change, right?
Yep.
That one card your opponent plays moves, basically. So, it's going to be interesting to see if people play. I mean, are people just going to stop playing Aero and just replace Aero with Red Skull now? In all the decks that played Aero? Because I'm not being
Little
funny.
extreme.
Is it?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll see.
It's gonna be
I
interesting.
think like the big brain play is to be using Aero and like play around whatever this set is that they're going to create that's like separating it. But like if you can predict that the She-Hulk is going to go into this lane and they're going to put Death into this lane, for example, in their Destroy deck, you just put it into the lane that the She-Hulk is going to go into. Like there's a way around
But-
it. This card is still good.
But what if they play them in the opposite order?
It's this, but yeah, but at least this is the thing. Like Shade said, at least now, like they
Yeah.
can think about it, you can think about it. It's not. I think it's good because it's not like
It's not a
I
brainless
win.
move.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I am curious if this. I mean, I don't think it does because there's a certain little fucking green turd piece of crap that didn't get
Yep.
touched in these patch notes. So I was gonna say I'm curious if this will really do anything to affect like turn 6 kind of hand dump situations because like with Sarah Miracle and stuff, like they kind of fell out of favor. But I would like to say that this could maybe affect that a little bit, but I don't think it
Especially-
will because of other things.
Especially with Kitty coming though as well, right?
Yeah.
True.
Like
Yeah.
Flood, late game Flood.
Yeah.
Also, Leech did get changed. He got buffed this patch actually.
got
but yeah,
fucking
we'll get to
buffed.
that.
What?
It will
got
get to that,
buffed.
but
It's
Kawa, this
bullshit.
is the next one's the spicy one as well. There's a lot of spice in
Oh,
this
so
one.
this is apparently, yeah, you said something is
Yeah.
actually impacts the Shuri thing as well. So, okay, so Mystique, Absorbing Man, and Taskmaster. These cards now require the previously played card to be in play in order to copy its attributes. Here are their updated templates. So, Mystique, on reveal, if the last card you played has ongoing, copy its text. If it's in play, okay.
Each one's the same. It's Mystique,
Yes.
Absorbing Man, Taskmaster. Basically, if there's nothing that exists that they want to copy, then they don't copy anything.
Oh.
Which is basically like Shang, right? Like if you're playing Shuri Red Skull and your Red Skull gets shanged
Yep.
before Taskmaster comes down, to cast Taskmaster copies nothing.
Yep, and if you are Cosmoing, for example, a Absorbing Man or whatever beforehand, they can't copy it.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, it
So
shouldn't-
your Galactus Absorbing Man deck is dead, Kawa.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is
Can't
still
they?
dead. I don't think so.
But the card's still in play.
Wait, no. This should, the Galactus Absorbing Man should still work because as I play it, the card's still in play. Yeah, exactly. If they Aero me and I do Absorbing Man, it should still
Oh,
work.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
Okay.
the card's still
Yeah,
in
yeah,
play,
you're right.
right? Yeah.
It doesn't require the effect to happen. It just requires the.
It's-
Yeah.
card
It's
to
just
be
if
in
the
play,
card isn't on board,
Yep.
right?
I think
like
this
that's
is big
basically-
outside of like a Shang-Chi. If you're Galactusing a board of a Shuri player or anything at all, and they go to play Taskmaster, it's gonna be
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's kind of crazy,
that's-
actually. Yeah.
fucking
I-
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit upset that it's like I know they have to do this because they're trying to do the blanket. This is how these types of cards work.
Mhm.
But I'm a bit hurt. Absorbing Man's took a hit here. Absorbing Man did nothing wrong.
He did
He's
nothing
innocent in
wrong.
this. He's a bystander. Like Mystique is going to be worse if like the Dino gets Shang-Chi'd, if Darkhawk
Mhm.
gets Shang-Chi'd, and so on, of course. But like Absorbing Man, what did he ever do?
I also don't really think that this really changes a whole lot for Taskmaster in terms of like the Shuri Red Skull like shit because like 99% of the time that Shuri Red Skull deck, people are playing their Red Skull, their Shuri Red Skull behind a Cosmo and armor. So like, does this really change?
It does something
Like,
at least, though. Yeah.
It's a percentage of games, right? It's not gonna complete. Like, I'd put Taskmaster straight in the deck when I just built it. Then, like, I'm still playing it, but there are a certain amount of games that you don't get Cosmo and armor. You have to play Red Skull, or your Red Skull, like, say, gets Aeroed for some reason, or, you know, whatever. Because now, suddenly, Aero in the Red Skull does something now, right? Because then if you can Aero the Red Skull and somehow get priority, then you can Shang the Red Skull, so the turn 6 Taskmaster doesn't work.
Yeah, the important thing is that you try and take I mean, in general, though, like, if you're still playing the Shuri Red Skull thing, you should be having priority, so the Taskmaster should always still be triggering. But in the case that if somehow you only have prio on that one lane and they have prio on the other two, then yeah, sure.
And that's what I mean, like, it will affect a percentage of games, but it's not like, oh no, Taskmaster now doesn't get played in that deck. It's just some games that, you know, it doesn't really go your way. You end up having to just play Red Skull out on, like, on its own. Then you know, there is a world, right?
All right.
Yeah, crazy.
We're gonna move on to Morbius. So Morbius's power no longer updates in hand or in deck, only at location. Okay, so we were right. So they're not actually getting nerfed. So we were looking at leaks yesterday, and I was like, please don't touch fucking. I love Morbius at 2. I know, Raven, we talked about it a lot, and you said if you changed to 1, it'd be okay. But I'm very glad that this is the only change, because this was known to be a previous bug. So Morbius and Knull were the only ongoing cards that actually their power updated while in their hands. So that's no longer the case. But what I will say in Knull's case is that this is actually a buff to Knull negative. Yeah, the deck that you wanted that you showed to me, Eggs. I'm so excited to play that again. I cannot wait. Yeah.
Can't wait to play it. Oh, so good.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. What's people's thoughts on this? Just like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just glad I didn't touch the cards and mess with them, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday I literally, like, Kawa sent me the screenshot of the leaks or whatever, and I saw Morbius's name on there, and I was like, Kawa, if they touch Morbius in any way that's negative, I am literally uninstalling this game. Like, do not touch my Morbid man, please. He does not need to be touched.
Yeah. I'm just so happy about the Knull fix, because for a long time, playing Mr. Negative, it was viable, but it just the fact that he would suddenly be cost 35 power and or 35 energy. Like, what the hell? That doesn't even make any sense that would happen. So I'm very excited.
The one thing I'll say is for Morbius and Knull, the important thing is you know, definitely have something like untapped.gg tracker, link in the description, so you can keep track of what cards were destroyed and what cards are discarded. So you can, I mean, to be honest, like, it actually makes sense. It's the only real way.
You stole my line, dude.
I know, I stole it. It's the only real way.
Oh, my job.
It's the only real way that you can actually, like, track it, unless you're god tier math brain. But yeah, that's interesting. And then moving on to Widow's Bite here. Text only. While this is in your hand, cards in your deck cannot be drawn. Change to while this is in your hand, you can't draw cards. So that's just kind of a more of a wording change to make it clear.
Yeah, because it was wrong.
Yeah.
Because of Weird World, right?
Was that the only one that messed up? I think there was a few other things that.
Oh god, I saw El Cable.
I just thought.
Okay.
I guess if Cable draws a card.
Yeah, does Cable draw a card? I guess.
Well, Cable does. It takes a card from the bottom of your deck.
From their deck. Oh, does Cable say draw a card from the bottom of your opponent's deck?
That's the bottom of your opponent's deck.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just stuff like that, because obviously.
That was a huge combo that we were seeing all over the place, was Cable and Widow's Bite.
Okay.
Well, I think it's important though, because whenever it happens all the time. I know, like, Sottle, like, has a whole spreadsheet about these inaccuracies.
Yeah.
But when you read a card and then the card doesn't say what the card doesn't do what it says it does, it is dumb, right? It's like very stupid in the game. They said they're looking at Zola as well. In terms of wording, because someone got Zola up, because the wording on that's a bit iffy as well. But, like, I do think that it's important that a card does what it says it does, because when it doesn't, people start making a million posts on Reddit and complaining about things that actually the cards are working correctly, they're just worded badly.
Gotcha.
Not Reddit. Oh god.
Oh, Raven nearly died today looking at Reddit. Yeah.
I streamed for about 5 hours today before I even opened Snap. or played a game of Snap is probably more accurate. See, like the Widow's Bite text. And some of the Reddit comments we were reading, I couldn't finish some of them. I had to walk away because I was crying. Literally, it was so funny. Honestly, you guys should try it.
Yeah, Reddit's like the public Snap Discord. You just don't go there. Just save yourself a lot of like heartbreak and brain
brain power
trauma.
Yeah. Cards that lose their ability due to leech no longer get that ability back if they're pulled back in play by another card. That was a thing?
What?
Wait, you didn't know?
I didn't know that. No.
You're an idiot, Count. Yeah, so basically any card that had like an effect, you shuffle back and it reset the card to its base form. Basically.
Wait.
I just want to say I had an image in my head there of Raven putting 2 pieces of bread on either side of Kawa's head and just screaming, "You're an idiot sandwich!"
Yeah.
Oh my. So
if it's true.
So you're saying like say for example if it was like lockjaw and then you drew it, so it was a leech thing, you put it in a lockjaw, you drew it, it wouldn't be leeched again. What?
Yeah, it'd be normal.
How did I not know this?
This?
Oh my
Dude,
god, I'm dumb.
That's
I'm
the
dumb.
best.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's a buff to leech because I was playing into like in my large lockjaw decks, like the casino decks.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can play the card back into lockjaw, and when you get it back, it won't be leeched anymore. Like for example, Jubilee.
Oh.
That
Or
doesn't
hammers.
happen.
Hammers too.
Hammers too, yeah.
If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to click here to see the leaked cards and data mine updates video associated with today's patch.